in streaming, so let's wait for some time. Cool. Just a second. I think we are live and we are like doing the double streaming part. So I think we are live in both the streams. Done. So let's start. इसको क्रॉस कर देते हैं and this let's अरे उल्टा क्रॉस कर दिया. Okay, so in the chat section, if I'm audible, please write that, sir, you're audible. We'll not waste any more time and we'll come directly to the point. Can we start? Am I audible? Let's start. So my name is Shubham Sagar, and from tomorrow onwards on StudyIQ IAS English channel, we'll be starting this free crash course for UPSC Prelims 2025. And I'm again reiterating it. This will be on the StudyIQ IAS English channel from tomorrow onwards. Now the point is, generally when we talk about free crash course or free something, people generally feel there is a caveat there that no, it's not free at all, or there will be some issues and everything. No, it's totally free. If you follow this particular course for next 100 days or so, you will be cracking UPSC Prelims 2025. Now the next question is, why will you believe me? Some of you may already know me, some of you may not. What is the reason if I'm saying that you will crack UPSC Prelims 2025 if you follow me diligently for next 100 days? What is the rationale behind it? For that, let me tell you something about myself. So the one big announcement that we are launching this UPSC Prelims crash course for 2025, and for next 100 days we'll be meeting every day at 7 p.m. on StudyIQ IAS English channel. Good. And how we'll be going about it? What days we'll be doing what, and like let's say we are doing history crash course, or we'll be doing crash course for other subjects also. So what will be the whole systematic arrangement of this crash course? We'll talk about it in just few moments from now. First of all, let me tell you something about myself as we have just discussed. My name is Shubham Sagar and I have done BTech from NIT Agartala, and after that I used to work in Samsung. So I'm basically from a Bihar household, Bihari household, and I should not be using that word Bihari, but yeah. So generally what happens in Bihar is people have a tendency, even if you're working in Samsung or Amazon per se, wherever you're working, parents have a tendency that go for a government job, do a government job, prepare for UPSC. Two of my cousins, one is an IPS, Prashant Anand, another is again in 20 plus services, one of the services he's there. So again, the pressure was there. So I started preparing for UPSC CSE along with my Samsung job. So now I will just show you some mark sheet of mine, and there is a reason behind it, and then I will show you some testimonials, and then we'll talk about how the course will pan out. So this is my mark sheet for UPSC CSE 2018 pre, where I have got 114, 133.33. Again, just have a look at it. I will also tell you what has changed in the last 6-7 years and how we have to go about things. Fine. So this is 2018 mark sheet. Then in 2019, I got around 101 in paper 1 and like 125. Again, it doesn't matter how much you're getting in paper 2 because you only have to get more than 66 in paper 2, right? So again, these 2 years I wrote mains for UPSC, and then in 2020 I got 102, 136, but I did not qualify because this year I applied for IFS, Indian Forest Service. I did not apply for means the CSE mains. I think if I had applied, I would have qualified because the cutoff was hovering around 91. Why I have shown you my like success in pre as well as failure? Because there is a cliche, you learn more from your failure than from your success, and that cliche is actually very true. I learned more from this particular exam than from 2018 and 2019. So all these years if I talk about the teaching thing, I've been teaching from last 10-12 years, but UPSC domain I've been teaching from 2016-17 onwards, and after this all these exams I became very serious about teaching. I love to teach, and whatever mistakes I did in my mains exam, I don't want you people to repeat it either in prelims or in mains. So again, another objective of showing these mark sheets. What is the objective? The objective is, there is a trend. You must have heard about it. If people have started clearing prelims, they will clear prelims year after year. If you're not clearing prelims, you are stuck in a loop that is actually a vicious loop where you're not cracking prelims year after year. So again, that is a trend. You have to know the trend, how things pan out. And even now also, these things are applicable. So when we are having this crash course, we'll talk about the cheat codes. And not only cheat codes, smart studying, everybody talks about you have to do hard work, but sometimes you have to work smarter. What is the smart work? All these things we'll be talking about. Fine. Now, whatever mistakes I made, whatever learnings I had, I imparted it or I used it for my teaching. So I started getting result from my students. So there is a girl called Priyanka. She wrote UPSC Mains 2024 and she cleared prelims. And I'm just showing you some testimonials, and again, I will tell you the reason behind it. Then there is a guy called Sabyasachi Rautre, his name is, and again he wrote UPSC Mains 2024. All of these people, they were part of my history crash course, which was earlier paid crash course, but this time it will be free. And not only history, we'll also be covering other subjects. We'll be covering polity, we'll be covering IR, and how we'll be covering or how we'll be going about it, that I'll be telling you in just few moments from now. So if you talk about, so this is Sabyasachi, you can just pause the video and you can read what he said. Just give me a second. Yeah. Then there were some people, like when I was teaching, and in this teaching journey of mine for UPSC and state PSCs, many people have cleared, like you can see different levels. So this is a girl who cleared APSC and her rank was 173. And this list goes on. I'm just showing you some. Again, this girl Bijoya, she cracked APSC. Then there was a girl who was an IIM pass out. Her father is an IFS officer. She again wrote certain good things about me. Again, about the crash course, which was earlier paid, which will not be paid now. This will be totally free. All these things. And I think you'll be getting a better version now, even in the free format. Generally, people believe that if something is provided for free, it will not be of very high quality. Just follow me for next 100 days. Follow this free prelims crash course 2025, which has been presented by StudyIQ IS English. And again, go to that channel, StudyIQ IS English. If you have not subscribed to it, subscribe it. And meet me every day at 7 p.m. Like we'll be talking about it, how to go about things in a smarter manner. So again, she wrote certain things and I'm very thankful to her for that. And the list goes on. Ritik is a St. Stephen's College pass out, if I'm not wrong, and he is a government teacher. At the same time, he is also preparing for UPSC. Again, there's a girl, this girl, and she's one of the, like she's around 21, 22, but she is one of the hardest working girl I have ever seen in my life. So again, I will not bore you with all these testimonials. You can just have a look at it. The basic objective is all these people who are thanking me, they are thanking me for a course which was totally paid. And now we at StudyIQ IS English, we are bringing you this whole course for free. But again, you have to be, like you have to follow certain things. What things you have to follow, we'll talk about it. So this is 100 days or so program, this whole prelims crash course, free prelims crash course program. What things I'll be covering? Many of you who know me, you know me as a history faculty and you can watch my videos on YouTube, etc. So will I be covering only history? See, when I scored more than 100 in let's say 2018, 2019, or just give me a second. So when I scored 100 plus in 2018, 2019 and 2020, so it was not like only history was being asked in these 3 years, right? So you have other areas also, other subjects also. So what I'll be doing is I'll be covering the very hot areas, because apart from history, I also deal with current affairs. So just like I will just give an example. So what we'll be doing, we'll be picking, let's say if we talk about international relation per se. So in international relation, earlier there was BRICS. And we were very confident that it is BRICS, so it has 5 countries. But now that is not the case. It has become like currently in January 2025 only, Indonesia has joined, and now we have 10 countries in BRICS. So how will you remember these 10 countries? What is a mnemonic for it? Like BRICS was very easy. You have to just, the name itself suggests what are the countries which are part of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, then China and South Africa. Now if I ask you, and you people are writing, and if I ask you, this is now according to Wikipedia, this whole thing is BRICS plus. So if somebody asks you that what are the new countries which has been added in BRICS plus, how will you remember it? Although officially I don't think it is being called BRICS plus, but still. So you have 10 countries now. How will you remember the other 5 countries apart from the BRICS? So the mnemonic is IIEEU. IIEEU. So Iran, Indonesia, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the U is UAE. Many people feel like Saudi Arabia is a part of BRICS plus. No, it's not. So all these things and some more, like one nation, one election is in news, why it is in news. If we talk about the constitutional amendments, etc. So what are the things which are getting impacted, positive and negative point. It is important from mains as well as pre-perspective, and we'll be dealing with the pre part of it. So yes, I'll be covering other areas also apart from history in this. Cool. Let's move on to the next part. Now the timeline. So here timeline means two things. So first thing first, what we'll be doing is we'll be covering history, and we'll be covering history in a detailed manner, just like I had covered it earlier in the paid courses. Everything will be covered from ancient to modern, and in that ancient to modern we'll also be including art and culture part. So first thing first, we'll be covering history from ancient to modern, including art and culture. You just have to follow this. You don't have to go to any other source, just follow this. I will also be telling you, apart from my source, what else you need to do. But for next 100 days, just open YouTube at 7 p.m., watch the video, make some notes if needed, but make notes only after 2-3 times you have watched the video at double speed or triple speed, whatever suits you. I don't think triple speed is allowed on YouTube, but yeah, hope you're getting what I'm saying. So ancient to modern will be covering in the first part, that is the history part, including art and culture. Here, when we are saying timeline, after history is done, we'll go into the other areas. Let's say IR and the polity part. What are the important areas from current perspective also, from static perspective also? What areas you need to focus more on? What areas continuously in news? Right. Here also, if we talk about history per se also, ancient to modern, here also there is a timeline, there is a chronology. And what is that chronology? You have to understand, many people, I'm telling you, and even if I ask you right now, that tell me the chronology from ancient to modern. Like when did ancient start and when did ancient end? When did medieval start and when did medieval end? And when did modern start and when did modern end? So many of the people, they don't have an idea. Like I'm being very honest about it. Even when I was studying, and I was like of your age, so we used to mug up facts, we used to study acts, but we never try to understand the timeline part. We have to understand it. In that scenario, we don't need to mug up facts. So let me tell you certain things. And again, there is no, I will tell you the debate also, where there is a debate regarding the starting and the ending point rather. So let's say we are talking about ancient India. So here the timeline is Stone Age to 750 AD. And what is the source which we are referring here? That also we'll talk about. So Stone Age to 750 AD. Just a second. 750 AD. What is the source for this timeline? The source is Upinder Singh's Ancient and Early Medieval India. Stone Age to 750 AD. And who is Upinder Singh? She is Manmohan Singh's daughter. And who was Manmohan Singh? He was our ex-honorable PM. So, and Upinder Singh ma'am, she's a very famous Delhi University professor. So you can refer to her book. Very good book. But again, mainly history optional guys, they refer to that book. You don't, I'll be taking the extracts out of that particular book and I'll be telling you what to read. And you don't need to go specifically, but you can just have a Google review. You can just read about it on Google. So ancient India, Stone Age to 750 AD. Stone Age ages like Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. Then if we talk about medieval India per se, so medieval India, it's divided into two parts. One is early medieval India and the second part is medieval India. So early medieval India, 750 AD to 1200 AD. 1200 AD. Many people also feel like this is ending at 1206 AD because at, like if you talk about 1206 AD, Delhi Sultanate starts 750 AD to 1200 AD. And then medieval India starts from 1200 AD to 1757 AD. And 1757 AD is the time or is the year where or when Battle of Plassey happened. But again, there is a debate here. Many people feel like, no, medieval India did not end at this particular year, 1757 AD. Some believe that it ended at 1707 AD when Aurangzeb died. So there is a debate here. You don't need to go into that debate. Most of the historians now agree that, yeah, medieval India, we can say 1757 AD. And there is a historian called Jadunath Sarkar. He believes that after 1757 AD, like East India Company, they defeated Sirajud-Dowlah in Battle of Plassey and they got a stranglehold and they proved that they are here to stay. And because of all these reasons, modernity arrived in India. But again, all these things does not happen after a battle. You know, this is a continuous gradual process. So you can say everybody is wrong or you can say everybody is correct, but we have to go by what these people are referring to. So this is the timeline which you have to keep in mind. Now, if you talk about modern India per se, so this is much easier now to deduce. Generally, people feel a little bit, what do you say, exacerbated when we talk about the timeline of ancient India and medieval India. So if you talk about modern India now, so modern India is 1757 AD to 1947 AD. So when we are doing this particular crash course, we'll be starting with history, we'll be starting with ancient India, medieval India, which will be including the art and culture part, temple, Buddhism, Jainism, etc. And then we'll be moving into the modern India part. We'll also be including painting, dance, drama, all the things will be there. You just have to follow it diligently. And diligently is a very critical word here. Sometimes what happens now, and this I'm just telling you from my experience, people run after sources. Don't run after sources. Stick to any particular source. You have to have trust. Trust is important for anything and everything, right? Everything is built upon trust. So when you are studying from any, like you're studying from StudyIQ IAS, StudyIQ IAS English, or any other channel, you need to have trust. If you don't have trust, if you run after sources, then what will happen? You won't be able to remember facts. So stick to one source, trust that particular source. Let's say if I have scored more than 100 marks 3 years in a row, if many of my students are clearing UPSC prelims, I must have done something right. Many of my students must have done something right. It's not like I'm taking all their credits, but I'm just telling you that just trust one source. If you want to trust me and then stick with it and make notes and then follow it diligently. Fine. So once we are done with this ancient India, medieval India, modern India, art and culture part, then we'll move on to the hotshot areas of polity, IR and other portions. So this thing will take a little bit more time. I think around 40 days we'll be giving to this particular history because this is big and now lots of questions are being asked from unexplored areas, Sangam age, etc. UPSC is entering too deep into it. Once we are done with this, once we are done with the history part, then again, we will go into polity, IR, and I've just told you, like there are different organizations. We can take another example also. Let's say I tell you that there is an organization called ASEAN. How many countries are there in ASEAN? Many people may feel like they don't know how many countries are there in ASEAN. And even if you know, let's say you know that in ASEAN there are 10 countries. The second question will be, what are those 10 countries? I'm just talking about these mnemonics helps a lot. So that's why I'm focusing on mnemonics, but there are so many other things to focus on. So ASEAN 10 countries. How will you remember these 10 countries? So there is a mnemonic for it. What is the mnemonic? BPL TV mimics. So BPL TV mimics. And here every word stands for a country, or each letter rather stands for a country. So B is Brunei. P is Philippines. Fine. L is Laos. Hope you can see it. Then T is Thailand. V is Vietnam. Then M is Myanmar. Other M is Myanmar. Other M is Malaysia. Cool. And then I is Indonesia. C is Cambodia. Then S is Singapore. So this way we have to, like, this is just a basic thing we are just talking about here. Even let's say if we delineate or we break it down further in polity also, if you remember your main syllabus also, sometimes people feel like mains and prelims are separate. No, mains and prelims are not separate. You have to study them together. Many of the things which you will be studying in mains, that will be helping you in pre. So again, if you talk about this polity part and the mains part, you will read certain things like basic structure. They talk about what is basic structure, and then there are different cases like Keshwanand Bharti cases associated with basic structure. But generally when you talk about basic structure, you don't have to confine yourself to Keshwanand Bharti. You have to also know about other cases. And what are the mnemonics for those other cases? I will just tell you. So we are just talking about that once we are done with the history crash course, what other areas we'll be talking about? We'll be talking about the most important areas of polity, IR and other subjects. we have talked about IR a little bit. So let's talk about polity also, just to understand how we will be going about things. So generally what happens when most of the people are talking about basic structure, so we are confining ourselves to Keshwar and Bharti. We have just discussed that. But for basic structure, remember certain keywords. One keyword is SGKMW. And this is a very interesting keyword. So what does this basic structure SGKMW means? S is Shankari Prasad case. Shankari Prasad case, 1951. Fine. Then G is Golaknath case. These are important cases. UPSC has still not explored this area a lot. So there is a very high probability that they can explore this particular area, because things are happening on the basic structure front. It is still evolving as we know it. If you don't know it, we'll have a discussion on it. So K is Keshwanan Bharti. Right. And then if we talk about M, I will be writing it this side so that you can see it. M is Minerva Mills. Minerva Mills case. If you want to write the year, Shankari Prasad 51, Golaknath case 67, Keshwanand Bharti 1973. Then you have Minerva Mills case, which if I'm not wrong, it is 1980. And then you have W, that is Vaman Rao case, which is 1981. So same way, like we'll be talking about constitutional body, non-constitutional bodies, in that executive bodies are also there, which are in news. We have to talk about that. So in this way, we'll be covering the polity part and e-governance part, what is important from the pre-perspective, and then we'll be going into other areas. Let's say IR, we have talked about. In IR, we also need to know a little bit about diaspora, which diaspora is in news and why. There are lots of things which goes on in West Asia. It is said that the West Asian diaspora, it gives us economic stability because they send a lot of remittances. Then the diaspora which is in US and Canada, they give us political stability. If you go a little time back, or you think about US-India nuclear deal, so Indian diaspora in US, they played a very critical role. And even if you talk about US and Canada, especially Canada, many of the ministers are of Indian origin. So this North American diaspora, they give us political stability, economic stability, West Asian diaspora. And the diaspora which is in Fiji, Suriname, etc., they give us cultural stability. What does it mean is that Britishers took away many of our Indians to Fiji, Mauritius 200 years back for growing plantation crops. And it is said that the people who are there the people of Indian origin who are there in, let's say, Fiji, they have still preserved the culture, Indian culture, which was there in our country 200 years back. So that's how they're giving us cultural stability. They have preserved that particular culture, which is not found even in India now, because we have adopted some amount of westernization, and we have forgotten our own culture to a certain extent. I'm not talking about the positive or negative connotation here. I'm just giving an example. So even in diaspora, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, whether it is celebrated annually or biennially, if it is celebrated biennially, from which year it has been celebrated biennially, what is the association with Gandhiji, that we all know. So again, all these things we have to talk about if we're talking about IR. And if we talk about, let's say, other areas also, economy, we talk about different terms like inflation, deflation, disinflation, stagflation, hyperinflation, skewflation. What do these terms mean? And again, what are the different areas in economy which are in news? We have to talk about it. Even if we talk about environment, we talk about national park, biosphere reserve, wildlife sanctuary. What is the basic difference between them? WPA 1972, it remains in news one way or the other. There are different schedules in that. What do these schedules stands for? There are different species which remains in news. And what is their IUCN status? Where are they found? Like I will tell you, and good evening everyone. So like I will tell you, few days back, we are making this particular video that today is 17 January. On 9th January, Simlipal Tiger Reserve was in news because there was a tussle which was going on between West Bengal government and Odisha government. One tiger has escaped from Odisha and it has gone to West Bengal. Odisha government was saying that you have captured that tiger, please return that tiger. Mamata Banerjee was saying that if you cannot protect your tiger or keep it in your area, why can't we just, like, we have captured it, so we'll keep it. And again, there was another angle also. So this way, Simlipal Tiger Reserve is in news. Kuno Palpur Wildlife Sanctuary, that also remains in news one way or the other. Cheetah relocation, etc. So these are the areas where we have to focus on. And when we are talking about this particular free prelims crash course, we'll be talking about all these areas. Once we are done with the history crash course, we'll be going on to the other areas, hotshot areas, current plus static. Just follow this. Now, the next part. What else do you people need to do apart from, like, to crack UPSC CSE, like apart from this whole thing? Like, once you are done with this 100 days course, anything else you need to do? You need to do one thing, which I will keep on reiterating it again and again. And what is that one thing? See, understand one thing. If I teach you a lot, even then you won't be clearing the prelims. What will help you in clearing prelims? Just give me a second. What will help you in clearing prelims? The mocks will help you in clearing prelims a lot. So what does it mean is, if you're not practicing, practice what you preach, they say, na? So if you're not practicing whatever you are learning, the learning will go to waste. So you have to practice. So I keep on telling people that I did in my time also. Although the times have changed, the paper has become tougher, certain things have still remained the same. You don't need to score 100 plus now. Even if you're scoring 90 plus, you're more than safe. So, but there are certain things which you need to do, which we have done in our time, and you have to do it in this particular age and era. And that is, you have to solve FLTs. What does FLT stands for? Full length test. You have to solve FLT. You have to solve full length test. So apart from this 100 days where we'll be discussing all the important areas of history and other subjects, you have to solve full length test. And when will you be solving these full length tests? What will be the time period of it? So if you talk about full length test from, like, let's say your exam is on 24th or 25th May. Then from 20th March to 20th May of this particular year, 2025, you have to solve 60 FLTs every day. FLTs means full length test, and your actual exam will be happening from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. when we are talking about GS1, right? So you have to simulate that actual condition in your home. You have to also solve all your papers in that particular period only, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. And if you want to give CSAT also, you can practice it from 2:30 to 4:30. But you don't need to devote that much time to CSAT. You don't need to solve CSAT every day until or unless you are flunking or you're not performing that well in CSAT. So 60 FLT is the bare minimum. You have to solve 60 FLT. Doesn't matter what other people are saying, just go with it. Just follow this program. Just revise your notes which you have earlier made and supplement it with whatever I'm telling you and give 60 FLT. Nobody is stopping you from cracking UPSC pre-2025. That's a guarantee from my side. And again, I'm here only. You are here only. So if that does not happen, you can always tell me certain things. So please, please, please do all these things, and that will help you a lot. That will help you a lot in so many different domains, and we can talk about it tomorrow also. From tomorrow we'll be starting, and we'll be starting from history. We'll be doing history in entirety, as we have just discussed multiple times now. Ancient, medieval, modern. Let's say tomorrow's class will be first lecture, so we'll be talking about sources in Stone Age. What are the different sources? What is historiography? What are archaeological sources? What is epigraphy? What is numismatics? And what are the limitations of it? What questions UPSC has already asked? What they can ask further? So all these things, and thereby we'll be continuing our discussion. And any doubts you have, you can discuss it, and we can even venture into other areas as well. So yes, these are the things which you have to do. These are the points which you have to keep in mind. And yes, you have to trust the source. Please understand this. This is very important. If you want to crack UPSC pre-2025, you have to trust the source. Whatever source you are following, follow it diligently, because the people who are telling you, let's say if I'm telling you certain things, I have done certain things, good or bad, anything, whatever you have done earlier, that makes you the person you are. And yes, I'm assuring you, if you follow this, you will clear UPSC pre-2025, as had other students in the past. And let's hope you, we'll meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. and we'll continue our discussion further. So again, one more thing, we'll be doing all these things and you have to follow this. Don't forget your own notes. Sometimes what happens now, and I've seen many people who are writing mains for, let's say, UPSC or state PSC. Once they have written mains, they have not got the interview call, they discard their whole notes and everything, that no, I will start from scratch. Don't do that. Always keep your notes. Whatever notes you have done earlier, you can always minimize your notes, but don't throw away your notes in frustration or disgust that I have not cleared this time, so I'm just throwing it away. Don't do that. That will not help. Trust the source, trust me, and be with me for next 100 days. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. on StudyIQ IS English channel. ठीक है? So that's it. Take care. Be blessed. Tata.